January the 24th, 2015. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please?
Smith,
Here.
Morel,
Here.
Richardson,
Here.
Buckler, Pop, here, Murad,
Here.
Shadle, here, and Gary,
Here.
Burnett.
Present. Now entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda this evening.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Richardson. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Morel. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
And Gary,
Yes.
Murad,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Shadle, yes, Pop,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of January the 27th, 2015.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Richardson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pop. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Shadle,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Murad,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
and Gary,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes. Any communications?
No,
Okay.
wanted to make sure, but no.
Okay. Moving on, I'll entertain citizens' comments. Any citizen who would care to address the Planning Commission tonight on any topic not on our agenda, step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the city, and you may have the microphone. Seeing no citizens rushing to the microphone, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Citizens will have an opportunity to participate in the discussions in the agenda as we move forward. And citizens will also have an opportunity at the end of the meeting to address the Planning Commission if they so desire. So let's move on to item number 1.
Item number 1 is site plan review, SP 0814, Jeff Hutchison for Bapti LLC, 3387 through 3391 12 Mile. Southeast corner of 12 Mile in Buckingham is requesting site plan approval for a facade change in site work. You'll recall, you guys met a couple of months ago on this, and the applicant had asked for a postponement since the holidays and so forth. And I advised him that he had in fact been postponed, and followed up with him when I didn't get anything for this meeting. And apparently there's a lot of decisions being made with regard to who the actual occupants of the building are going to be. But I would suggest that we not prolong this too much, and so my suggestion to you would be postpone it one last time.
And see where we are in March?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
I will advise them in writing that that'll be the last postponement, and then they'll be looking at a brand new submittal if
Okay.
they don't move it along.
All right. Does somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
Mr. Chairman, I move we postpone SP 0814 to our next regularly scheduled meeting in March.
Is there a second to it? Second. Second by Commissioner Murad. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Richardson,
Yes.
Shadle,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Gary,
Yes.
Murad,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll move on to number 2.
Item number 2 is discussion regarding eliminated sign standards, excuse me. We had talked about this a while ago, and it got kind of put aside for some other more pressing things. I don't want to forget about it, because I know and unfortunately now with the winter and the longer evenings, I know that we have one sign in particular that's a bit piercing. So I know the city wants to address this. I have not been able to find somebody that is suitable to come chat with you, and I have done lots of searches, and the internet is great for many things, but there's just not a lot of really good examples out there. And so you have the best of what I can find. I, short of spending $40,000 on, some
Right.
lighting company to come in, to do a brand new ordinance, I don't know that it would be any better than what
Okay.
we've got. I'm sorry, that's a rather anemic analysis after all these months, but.
You've given us a lot. I got a
You
lot
have
here to digest.
You have a lot to
I'm-
read. You
I
can
haven't-
take 2 months if you want.
I haven't finished reading all this, and I would like to read this. Mr. Murat?
I have one question. You know, with most types of lighting, you can adjust. And LED lights, they can be. You can control the brightness of them, can't you?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
All right. That was
Okay.
kind of the one thing I was thinking about. So I like what you kind of presented to us back in September, and I still like it. That I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
So
Mr.
Chair?
Richardson? Mr. Richardson?
I have a question, and as I'm wont to do, I apologize if we covered it a few months back. The ordinance, I believe, there's no explicit language in the ordinance right now that specifies that the brightness is measured from the property line. Am I right?
Correct.
In fact, the implication from the language seems to be the brightness is measured at the point of origin of where the light is located. Would that be correct?
Well, we don't regulate the brightness of signs right now. We've said that it has to be shielded, and there is a stipulation that if it's facing a residential street, that it be turned off at a certain point. We have an outside lighting ordinance which regulates parking lot lights. Certainly if a sign was being a nuisance enough that it was causing a problem, but I haven't found even complaints on signs that when you really get down to, or even a lot of times it has to do with just the perception of the light. When you get right down to it and you stand there with a light meter and you look at it and it's under a half-foot candle at a residential property line, it complies. I think the problem with the LED signs is because of the way they're designed, the light is coming out at you as opposed to a shielded light. And so because of that, the very nature of it is it's going to come at you and it's not shielded.
Well, what I'm driving at is,
Yeah.
do you see, and I know that you have limited information, but do you see an issue between designing an ordinance around the brightness at the property line as opposed to the output of the sign itself? I mean, is there too many practical difficulties in measuring at the property line, or are these things we should be thinking about, or are they rather insignificant things?
Mr. Murat?
the problem we run into going to the property line, this is what I see,
Right.
is if it's in our downtown, the property line is right there at the sidewalk.
Right.
So what I would like to see us do is move away from a property line and choose a distance away from the sign and then set a brightness on that. How's everybody feel about that?
That's what I think we should do.
Well, that may make a lot of sense.
Yeah. You know, 15 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, whatever we want to come up with. And
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murat, Mr. Morel.
the issue that we have with output is that the sign industry is not, it's almost like they're not savvy in measuring the level of their lights. It's real easy to get a parking lot light fixture photometric study done to show relative to the site what the foot candles are going to be and predict it beforehand. We've never really been successful in doing that with signage, and in fact, the whole reason we crafted the ordinance the way it was to sort of kind of eliminate this sort of, well, build it and we'll see if it works, because that was really part of the problem, is that if we didn't want to subject business owners to this idea that they had to, build a sign and put it up and turn it on, and then we come and say, oh, too many foot candles, take it down, fix it. That's really the problem, is needing to have some way they can calculate and determine what they're going to be. so that when the businesses go to do this, they have some faith that, you know, there's rules, they follow the rules, they're good.
It's helpful.
I mean, I even see it today in the new that they're pulling these LED lights in the cars, the tail lights. Some of them are so bright when you're behind them.
And-
So I don't know how they're regulating that either, or how they're determining how bright they want their lights to be.
You know, Mr. Chairman, with the exception, of course, of the changeable copy or the reader board signs, the big signs, there's no reason why LED lights can't be shielded behind a translucent panel in order to illuminate a sign. In fact, that probably makes LED signs work from whether they're objectionable or not, is if you put something translucent,
In front of it.
between it and your eyes, then you're improving that. Again, it's disheartening that we can't get the LED industry in here, because if we craft an ordinance they don't like, they'll wait until it's done and then they'll complain.
Yep. But maybe that's what we're gonna have to do in order to get some movement from somebody.
Yep. Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Targaryen?
I don't want to muddy the water too much, but there's more than one way to measure light output too. Foot candles is one measure of light, but you can also measure light in. I got notes here on my phone here. Nits. It's
That's what
yeah,
LEDs are measured
That's
in.
what they
Yeah.
measure.
That's what LEDs are measured in.
Yeah.
Expensive light meter.
right.
Yeah,
Um,
expensive light meter to do that.
But regardless of how you're going to measure the light, most of these signs these days are made with automatic dimming mechanisms.
Yep.
So I think building in a differential light maximum during daylight hours and during nighttime hours is very doable. I mean, I see in the alternative proposed language, we have a not to exceed, between sunset and sunrise, but we might consider actually putting one on during the daytime too.
Okay.
Just because a really bright sign in the daytime can be just as obnoxious as a bright sign at night. Particularly for drivers.
Okay.
What is the desire of the planning? What do you want to think about? Do you want to look at? We don't have anything drafted. The information you
just
gave us
this.
here is not part of anything we have right now, right?
There's well, in my report, I have our existing language. Berkeley's current sign code says this.
Yeah.
That's what we have.
That's all we've got right now. All right, let's look at the other aspect of this. Do we need to create a lighting ordinance?
Well, we have outside lighting. You have an
A
outside
sign
lighting
lighting
ordinance.
ordinance?
And you have a section of it that deals with illuminated signs in the sign ordinance.
Yeah, I think it's just adding to the sign ordinance
You
myself.
think it's what we need to do?
I think so.
The sign people are going to be they'd rather have it in one place.
Okay, all right. Okay,
I mean, it's nothing, if you want to think about it, I can try to do some more research and find somebody to come talk. I don't want it to be, I don't want you to necessarily get a sales pitch either on.
Right.
I don't want a sales
That's
pitch
what I don't
either, and
wanna
that's what I'm
have
afraid
happen,
of.
so I want
I've
somebody
always
that's
been feared of
knowledgeable.
that.
Yeah. We can certainly, if you guys want to read all those ordinances.
I want to, I would really like to go through that in some detail, and I'd like to spend some time hovering over that,
Okay.
just to see what's in there. But I'm leaning towards some of the information that we've already gleaned, or you have gleaned, being out in the field, looking at some of the signage, so. Just want to.
Well, I've made notes of the comments tonight, so I can incorporate those as well.
Is that what? Agreed, we spend a little more time researching, let Amy do a little more?
I think that's a good idea, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. If we're not getting a deluge of complaints from people, I think we've got some time to.
Well, I don't know whether we have time or not.
Only a
That's-
matter of time.
Yeah.
Well, we already do have a sign over on Greenfield that
Yeah.
this would have impacted
Yeah.
years ago.
And we would have impacted the one.
Well,
on
and The
And-
sign ordinance, you can, it's not part of zoning, so you
Right.
can say, you have to set a reasonable time limit, but you can say, as of this date,
Yep.
Right.
this needs to comply.
Right.
So. That's what we agree? Is that what you want to? Okay,
I think so.
all right. I don't hear nobody jumping up and down saying no, so I guess we're good to go on that.
Okay, all right.
Item number
First
2.
thing.
3.
Item number 3 is discussion regarding the Woodward 5 Sustainability Study recommendations. This was done a while ago, and it's a large document.
Tell me
And
about that.
as you can see, and actually Commissioner Buckler's company that she works for was one of the authors of it. And so it was the Woodward 5 communities in the school districts, and they had committee, and they looked at various baselines and targets. And so Berkeley's recommendations are here in an appendix. And I did start when it was when the recommendations were first proposed, and one of the things for Berkeley that had been highlighted was a health impact assessments. And I have a bunch of stuff on that, read a bunch of it a while ago. That's something, if you're interested, we can pursue, or if there were other recommendations that you wanted to kind of look into doing. I didn't want to have this just sit. It was quite a robust document.
It's
And it would be a
robust.
shame to have it just get dusty if there are some things that you all wanted to pursue.
Well, let me ask the question, how many people have fully digested this document? And then we'll start there, and I don't think I'm going to get many, yeah, I did it all.
Been a busy week.
Tell me about it. So, it seems to me we all need to spend a little more
Okay.
time on this.
How about
but-
if you want me to check back in April on this one?
Yes, why don't you give us
Okay.
till April on this and let us digest this a little more?
Okay.
Mr. Chair, before we
Go ahead, you may.
leave this item, Ms. Vanson, can you answer some questions about this, or?
I'll try. I wasn't, this was something that, I wasn't particularly, I was peripherally involved with. As you can see, there were other folks on the committee and so forth, so I will try to, though. I will find somebody that knows and get back to you.
My question has to do with the recycling ratios now. As the chair alluded to, I haven't gone through this entire document in any kind of detail, but I did review it this afternoon, trying to look for some highlights, and I noted that Berkeley's recycling ratio, which is pounds of waste recycled per household compared to pounds sent to landfill, is 0.4. And that's considered to be worse than the geographic baseline, which I take it to be the 5 communities that participated in this. Is that possible?
I'll find out.
And I just don't, I mean, what does .4 mean is, I guess, my question.
Okay.
Does that mean that slightly less than half a pound of waste is recycled compared to what? Or does it mean 40% recycled, 60% landfilled, or I looked for some explanatory material in here, and it may be in here, but I didn't get it.
I will get it for you. I'll find out.
And the only, just kind of tied to that, I was looking at the city of Huntington Woods' totals, recycling totals, and they are at 1.0 pounds recycled per pound sent to landfill.
As opposed to Berkeley's .4.
Yes, and around here, everyone knows Huntington Woods is the gold standard of recyclers. And, I just don't know what these, I don't know what these mean, and I was looking
Units,
through the
okay.
report to find some notes to explain them, and it wasn't very, it may be that you have to look at Sacra's site to see
Well, I'll
what
find
the
out.
explanation is.
That's something I can very easily, I'll either ask Soccer, or I'll ask our DPW director, and we'll get you an answer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Shadle.
if I may,
Oh, yeah.
there is a description of exactly what those indicators are. I'm not sure, it might be page 17, table 4. Describes the residential recycling rates, the recycling ratio.
I did
Such.
see that, but I don't understand how the numbers relate to that explanation, I guess. I don't know what the numbers are telling me in terms of what that ratio is. I can't believe that we're at 40%. I know that we're not at 40% recycling. So it can't be a percentage. It must be, I mean, what is it? Is a
Well,
very
it-
simple question.
Mr. Chairman, what it means, for every pound of waste we send to a landfill, we recycle 0.4 of a pound.
Well, that was what I suggested a
That's
couple
what
of minutes
this
ago,
definition
but
says.
that seems low.
I have no basis upon which to base that estimate. I understand what you're saying, and, but I know that,
And then Huntington Woods, it says 1 pound.
Maybe when our
so they're
recycling
so they're
bins are as
recycling
large
approximately
as-
50% of their waste.
Okay.
Half of it goes to landfill, half of it goes to the recycling bin.
The recycling bins are twice as large as their
That seems high.
garbage bins.
Bigger recycling bins.
They
That's
they are, that's a fact.
Well, I would still like an explanation. You
That's fair.
Okay.
may be right.
I will get you one.
Other comments on this? Okay,
Okay.
all right. Moving along, I guess I'm back to citizens' comments. And I don't know that any citizens want to care, so then I guess I'll go through liaison reports. Chamber?
Chamber did meet on the 11th of this month. Currently, they're working on reviewing bylaws. They are, there was some discussion about the Art Bash in June. They are extending it an additional block east.
East,
East.
Yep.
Really?
And past the post office.
yes, the post office as
Yep,
well.
yep. So they're looking for, they're collecting sponsorships, artists and vendors for,
Okay.
okay, so, yeah. And they are planning a restaurant week for here in Berkeley in October. And for anybody that wants to know, Royal Oaks is, I think, next week. if
Yes,
anybody's
I saw it
interested.
on TV.
And they have a new postcard that should be coming out in early March, going to all the residents. So they're staying active and they're doing pretty good, actually. Membership's up and it's going pretty well, so.
Okay, good. I'm gonna come back to the DDA. I'm gonna go to environmental.
Environmental Committee did meet. We had a discussion regarding it's kind of apropos of this report that we were just presented with. We did have a discussion regarding the desirability of the City of Berkeley adopting a sustainability plan. This document here kind of sets the table, I think.
Kind of funny, sort of synergy or something, yes,
Yeah,
anyway, go ahead. Yes.
For the possibility of doing that. Other communities in this area have actually taken that step and have sustainability plans. I also, on behalf of the committee, attended a meeting of environmental communities from Woodward Corridor communities. This was in Pleasant Ridge a couple of weeks ago, and We had a discussion regarding possibilities of collaborating between communities on grant opportunities, desirability of having sustainability plans and coordinating those plans among us. All of this is really in the talking stage right now. Nothing has been decided upon, but I think we are beginning to move in these directions.
Let's move to the DDA. Have you been at any of the, have you been to the DDA meetings?
Absolutely. I was there for this last one. And when I was writing this out, I completely skipped a whole section in my notes. So I will fill that in. It was the financial budget that David presented. And I skipped it. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, one of the things that I found out was the Beautification Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Dietz was leading that,
Mm-hmm.
and he has since resigned. So my report is as complete as I thought it was supposed to be, only I just found out that I missed a whole section, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. Let me ask you a question
Sure.
because I got thrown into an embarrassing situation
Uh-oh.
this week. At the last council meeting,
Yeah.
the DDA came before the city council and they approved a contract with LSL to do preliminary design work for the Robina project. And I ran into a citizen of the city after this event, and they asked me, well, what's going on? You're the planning commission, what do you, and I had to answer them. I had no idea because I don't know anything about it other than LSL.
LSL has been in my.
Has
in
been
the
in there,
notes, yeah.
yes. And so I missed all of this. And so I had contacted Amy about it, and she sent me a letter from LSL, which I finally read and understand. I just, and maybe I hadn't been following your notes. If you could fill us in a little bit of what they're doing, the planning commission, if you have any idea of where they're headed or what their thinking is or how they got to where they are. Somebody should inform us.
That's hard to answer because I think that there's a lot of information and that doesn't happen at the meetings. And I'm not, I don't know why there's been this big deal made with Robina and 12 Mile. And it just makes me unhappy when I see the amount of money that's going on 12 Mile and what is happening on Coolidge.
Mhm.
And that is difficult. And I'm not comfortable being a voice I'm a liaison. I'm supposed to be just there to
Listen. and
listen and not participate. And I spent a day cleaning out the planters with the group from the DDA, not last year, the year before. And it wasn't good enough. There was complaints about the work that we did and the planting and pricing, and it's not exciting.
Mhm.
And
Well, some
And
of
then
the,
there was a lot of information and time spent on what they're planning on doing in this strip on either side, with LSL, and there's conflict with some of the business owners, and there's questions that aren't answered. And I don't know what,
Okay.
I just don't know what,
I'm not trying
how
to
to
put you,
answer.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I did get put on
It's
the
just
spot. And
difficult to see.
I felt like a fool, actually. There was a grant. They got money for a grant from Michigan Municipal League, I guess it was,
Yeah,
to which, and I think, Martin Smith, you participated in some of that.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I think you're, a
Yeah.
couple you were at the first meeting or
Yeah.
two, yeah.
yeah.
And that's what started this drive for this project. But I didn't know that it had moved to another stage of action. And that's what threw me. And then I was at council meeting last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and they threw it out there, and I thought, whoa, that's interesting. Didn't know anything about that. Then I meet somebody out on the street, and they come to me and say, what's going on? And you're the planning commission. I don't know. It's the DDA. So,
But I get questions also. Well, why don't you know? You're on the planning commission. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is not, this is not the focus for the planning commission.
Right.
This is a DDA. And like I said, I don't know where their focus is. And some of it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
okay.
Okay, so.
Do you want to jump in
Yeah,
on this,
I'm gonna.
please?
Good.
So I met with Brad Strader and Paul Andres and
I want to add something to it, too.
Michelle, I'm gonna forget her last name, from LSL as well. And we chatted for about 45 minutes today and about this project. And you're right, the MML grant that we got, but really what started it was the bricks are all messed up and it's a problem. And so it really was administration saying, how do we fix it? Do we just tell the property owners to fix the sidewalks, which under ordinance they're responsible for, and then it's gonna kind of look a little patchy, and it's a really important spot because we don't have a park in our downtown. We have this wide road that we use for events and like Robina Rhapsody and so forth. So do we just kind of do this sidewalk and wait, or should we do something else? And what should we do? And so that's when it was, it's not enough to just put something in and have it not be what you need the space to be. And when we had talked about it with our engineers, the engineer was, well, we'll design something for us. Like, wait, we don't know what we want to design yet.
Right.
Hold on. So we backed up, had a number of sessions with MML, and, people were very inspired, and they were gorgeous pictures. And we had the document, which I think I
Yep,
gave you.
we
all.
gave
I
it.
gave
I
you-
have
got
it,
you
and
that.
I've
Okay.
digested parts
So
of
that's
it.
kind of, chapter one, right?
Yeah.
And then, but that's not something you can hand to an engineer to do construction
No.
drawings. So this step is that middle step of going from the, lists of what we'd like to see at this space and, the pictures and how we want it to look, to, okay, this is what it could be. And then the idea is, when this is done, then you can hand it to an engineer, and they can prepare the engineering documents to get it built.
Construction docs, yeah.
Yes, the construction document. So that's really what this is. And we talked for a while about, my understanding is I did email the chairperson of the DDA today and, advised him that I had met with LSL, and we had chatted about, they're looking at a spring kickoff. I thought we could have a really short meeting today. We joked about how short it would be, and it certainly, when you see a space in February, it looks a lot different than it does in June. So that's
Absolutely.
something to think about, is because, for 5 months out of the year, it's going to be sort of not as pretty as it will in June. So that's something to think about. They're looking at an April The first thing is a meeting at the site, and they're looking at having some drawings to respond to there, rather than just kind of looking at the space and saying, well, we can do this. That'll be a more productive meeting. And based upon that, they'll look at, coming up with some designs that they hope. My understanding is there's going to be a DDA subcommittee. I haven't heard who's on it, and I did ask in my email if I can find out who that is, then I can help coordinate those meetings and any information that needs, to be conduited between the consultants and the committee. I do think that public safety and public works need to be involved. There are some issues as far as public works goes, particularly on the south side with grade changes that need to be dealt with and need to be addressed early, not, once it gets to the engineering phase. And certainly if there's going to be any road narrowing or anything like that, public safety needs to be aware of all of that. So that's where we're at, and I will absolutely keep you guys informed
We have
as
to,
we move
yeah.
along.
Yeah,
So,
I appreciate that.
yes.
That was my only comment. I got, yeah. So anyway. Did I miss?
I wanted to just add
Yes,
to it,
Mr. Mears.
because I just reviewed Miss Pop's notes real quick, and it says in there too, they're looking for 2 more members of the board, 2 or 3 more members. So they're struggling with vacancies too. So I think it would be good to, in these meetings, since they're televised, to let people know that the DDA has got some board positions open, and
Are they looking for business, or is it
it sounds
residential?
like their preference is business.
Yeah.
But-
And
But
some of
they-
them have to be on Coolidge, some have to be, certain count has to
Right,
be Coolidge.
right.
Count has to be 12 mile.
12 mile, right, yep, exactly.
And I don't know where the shortfall is.
So, and they do, and I mean, at the chamber meetings, they also report, their person wasn't here at the last meeting, but they mentioned that they've been studying Robina, but that's about all that I've ever heard,
Okay.
so,
They've been studying Robina for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are they looking only at the north side, or
No, both
No,
sides.
both
No, they're
sides.
looking at
South.
both sides.
both sides, south and north?
From either alley.
Okay,
Alleys on, north
Cool.
and south of 12 Mile, yeah. And just the right-of-way, nothing else.
oh yeah, I have a brilliant idea for those.
Well, maybe you need to attend a meeting and
I
tell them
guess
what your
I do.
idea is.
I guess I better
Or send them an email or a
do
letter,
something.
Yep.
So anyway,
or meet with the chair.
did you want to jump in on any of this?
Well, I was just going to say, we did know about this in passing because I mentioned it last week in our commissioner comments. I mentioned, because I was going to say something, not last week, last month. I was going to say, for the second time in a month, I want to say I'm glad the DDA is doing something. But we didn't know much. All we knew was, I was aware at least, and I did bring it up last month, that they are doing something. I just found out prior to our meeting last month, but it was good in respect to being good news that something is happening.
Well, something is happening, right.
Right. We were a little left out of the loop apparently,
Yep.
but that's good to hear that something is happening.
Yeah.
It's the Robina 12-mile line in their minutes has been there for
It has been.
many months.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Morrell?
I don't feel all that left out. I look at it and I look at what LSL has proposed, and they're proposing involving
Yeah,
guys
absolutely.
like us.
Eventually.
To be
Eventually.
blunt, we did put it in the master plan
Yep.
after a fashion, so they're sort of looking at what we thought was a good idea, and they're saying, gee, this is a good idea, we
Yeah.
should do something. And I think it's moving along as we expect. But and I think, your answer when people say things like that is, they're in the process of
Right.
trying to decide what to do. Because really, I think they've done the problem-seeking thing. There was that survey where they were talking with sending it out to the residents, and what if we did this, what if we did that?
Well, they had that
They
thing
just
last
had it
June,
Art Batch.
at the
Right,
art
right.
batch. They
So now they're
collected
in
a
the
lot of material.
problem-solving phase, and eventually and we still haven't quite got the solution yet.
No.
And we were well represented in the MML.
Yeah, we were.
You know,
I know that. And,
so, and with Amy, she was at all those
yeah.
meetings and events and all that also. So, but a lot of times these things just die, and it was just good to see, at least in my opinion, that someone has taken up the torch to proceed, see where it goes.
Okay.
We started it many years ago.
Oh, I know we did. It's been on the back of my calendar for a long time that we could do something with it, and I'm glad to see it's finally.
Whatever that may be.
I don't know what that is either fully. It was one of Mr. Jordan's pet projects, was that Robina thing. So he was a former member of the Planning Commission. So anyway, moving on, that was my big item, I guess, on the council when I saw that come to pass the thing, and I just sort of sat there and, oh, that's interesting. And so that was the key thing on the agenda that I was looking at council. So, with all of that said and done, I guess I'll run around the room and see if anybody has anything else to say. I guess I hit all of the
Yep.
comments. And, okay, Mr. Martin Smith, anything tonight?
I was just going to say, I'm glad that the DDA's taken up the. Nothing else, sir.
Mr. Richardson,
I have nothing further.
Ms. Pop.
Nothing further.
Mr.
I'm good.
Garrett. Mr. Morrell.
Nothing.
Tejado.
Actually, very warm kudos to Public Works over the last month. I think they've dealt with quite a bit of our aging infrastructure and water main issues. The folks like them working on something.
Mr. Tangari.
Nothing further.
Ms. Vanson.
I have something. A while ago, I think I told you, and I know it was at council, that the city of Berkeley was awarded a bronze level of Promoting Active Communities Award. This is through the Michigan Fitness Foundation, and you fill out the 12-part application online, and it looks at all kinds of things. It looks at whether your community is walkable. Do you have recreation programs? Is it safe, even if it is walkable? Is it safe to walk? And you look at the school district had to fill out, one of the schools had to fill out part of it. We looked at an employer in the city, and so all of these are weighted in a certain way, and we came up with bronze level. Because we were awarded this, we were invited to apply for the Governor's Fitness Award. First ever time that a community would be awarded this. And out of the 50-some communities, 13 chose to take the extra step and fill out. It wasn't a really long application, but only 13 did. We were one of them. And I found out yesterday that of those 13, we are one of 3 finalists.
Oh.
And we are, she wouldn't tell me the other 2 cities because she hadn't called them yet, but we are the only city in Lower Michigan.
Wow.
Really?
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 The other 2, I don't know who they are. but-
Wow.
So we are certainly it for Oakland County, Oakland, Macomb, and Wayne County. So there's going to be an event on April 23rd. I don't have the details yet. It's being sent to me. And that's when the winner will be announced. But Berkeley is one of 3 in the state of Michigan. So
Wow.
Very nice.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that was a nice phone call to get.
Very
Do we have to do calisthenics before our meetings now?
No, but the fact that you walk to the meetings and bike to the meetings, that got us extra points.
I knew that was going to help somewhere.
Calisthenics would be no problem. No problem.
They're going to take these chairs away, and we're going to have to stand.
faster meetings.
Yeah, faster meetings.
On those exercise balls.
Yeah.
Treadmills.
I don't have any.
Well, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Richardson?
I'm sure Ms. Vanson had a lot to do with lining us up for a possible award, and I think we ought to express or acknowledge her role in this, and it's a credit to the city if, just to get this far. And I don't know what we get if we win, but it would be great if we won.
They say it's an honor just to be nominated, right?
Yes, it's an honor to be nominated, and
We're already winners.
yes, thank you. And good luck to the city of Berkeley.
Oh,
That-
I know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
may,
We have to
may put
defend
us
our
on
crown if we win.
a little bit more. It's a great community to live in.
You don't have to preach into the choir. man.
Yeah,
And that's all I have.
okay. I don't have anything further, so I
Oh,
guess.
I lied. I do
Oh.
have one some. It's a good thing I took notes ahead of time. Should have started off with this other thing. So, Woodward Complete Streets, they started that a few years ago, and then with the transportation alternative analysis, it kind of went over here to finish the alternatives analysis. The alternative analysis has gone into environmental review. So that's all good. That's on that progress toward becoming a reality. So they have brought the Woodward Complete Streets back. You may have heard they were doing at Pleasant Ridge a variety of public meetings talking about how to make it, how you should be able to walk to the zoo if you want to, if you live around here. And so they're bringing that back. They are looking at having public meetings come spring, summertime, and hopefully endorsement by the cities come like fall of this year. So I will keep you posted, obviously. But
All
we're
right.
3. Governor's Fitness Award, yay.
Okay. Hey. All's well. I don't have anything else. Anything else?
No, I'm done.
We're all done. Now, we are going to have a work session in March.
March 10th.
March 10th.
Yes,
And
form-based
Make sure to
code.
mark that, form-based code. That's the first session on form-based code. And then we have our regular meeting in March also. Just so everybody's up and aware of it. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is made.
Motion's made.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Murad. So, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.